Timestamp 6:45 a.m. I may or may not have pulled an all-nighter. It's early. I'm tired. And to be honest with you, I may or may not have got wrecked. Yeah, hats on backwards. We rallied on. Let's get into the Caddie Shack and let's talk about it. All right. Well, like I said, it's early. And no, I didn't pull an all-nighter. The last time I did that, by the way, I'm Choppadong. I'm your poker caddy. And oh man, what a day it was yesterday. We'll talk about that. Did okay. There's a little orangey in there. That's a decent little number, but yeah, the last time I pulled an all-nighter, it ended up very, very badly for me. I had one of the worst beats that I've ever had. I had 2 or 3 beers. I was buying beers back and forth with a regular. I took a big pot off of him. He was a dealer at another casino. I took a big pot off of him, and I went and bought him a beer. And then he took a big pot off of me. He went and bought me a beer. Next thing you know, we're 4 beers in. It gets up on midnight, usually the time I would leave and come home. And I was like, I can't drive home. Like, I'm not wrecked or anything, but I can't drive home. So I need to sit here for another couple of hours. Wife's asleep, no big deal. Told me to go play that night. And then, of course, I lost track of time while I was, sobering up and getting ready to drive home. And I don't want to say sober up because it gives the impression that I was ripped. I wasn't. It's just kind of funny that in those couple of hours, I lost track of time, built up $650 stack, and then lost it all at the very, very end of the night when my daughter texted at like 4:30 in the morning, like, "Are you alive? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm going to come in right at about 6 o'clock, take mom to work. And I don't want to wake her up because if I wake her up now, being 4:30, she's not going to be able to go back to sleep, So I was trying to be courteous. It backfired on me. Months and months later, if tension and whatever else threw my game into a little bit of a tailspin. Not her fault. It was mine, my own guilt, my own suffering. So again, when you talk about the poker caddy, emotionally, we've been through it all with you. So whatever you've gone through, we've probably done it too. Welcome in to the St. Paddy's Day Luck of the Irish Caddie Shack. We're going to talk a couple of hands that maybe have turned our current streak around. If you've followed us, well, you probably haven't. I haven't posted a lot of content lately because, to be honest with you, it's been nothing but down, 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 down. It's been trash, and it's bad runouts. I mean, there is no such thing as 100% bad luck. There's always a smidge of it or a lot of it that is self-inflicted, and you need to dive in and you need to discover the fundamentals again, find out where you're maybe going wrong, fix it, get back into battle, and keep on plugging. And there really wasn't a lot to fix this last, I don't know, 50 hours or so of poker play, but it's been bad. We've been wrecked for about 10 to 12 buy-ins, and it's not fun to report on that stuff. There is a therapy session coming, maybe, where I lie down on the couch and talk to you as if your point of view, if you're my therapist. That could be fun. We're going to make fun of it and have fun with it, but that stuff all has to come together. It did force me to dive in to my fundamentals and studying variance and bankroll management, standard deviations, all that stuff. So that stuff's coming too, because I really do want to break that down and share that with you. But yesterday we had a nice little turnaround, but it didn't start that way. Yesterday started bad again. Like, when you have 80%, 90% favorites on the flop get cracked or run down on rivers, you kind of start expecting it to happen, right? Like, you look at flop the set. There's a flush draw out there. Well, flush card's probably going to hit, right? And that did happen yesterday, but one time it didn't affect us. Another time it did. So the way we started off yesterday is bought in a little bit deeper, 250, 300 bucks, and we got up against a fishier old man. And I don't want to get into, until I have an actual name and caricature for some of these people, I don't want to get into them too much, because I don't want to make fun of people and poke fun of them, but he's a little bit of a fish. He's not a very good player. He got on a bit of a run, built up a nice stack, and then we get into this pot with him where he was under the gun and he raised to 10. It folded all the way around to us in one of the blinds, small blind, big blind, and we re-raised to 40 with, and I'll put the hand up here, re-raised to 40 with ace king offsuit, and he calls. $80 pot, heads up, out of position. We're generally if he can be aggressive, which we don't know that yet, we're generally going to check the pot to him. And when we three bet and we check, it kind of looks like we give up. We don't have really any intentions of giving up. But we check to him. Either we check to him, and I can't quite remember this part. He might have done the angle shot where he kind of checks out a turn without looking at you, so that maybe you'll check it to him, and then you know what I mean, kind of thing. It was kind of weird. He pulled it off pretty well. Um, I don't remember if it was this hand or if it was a different hand with us, but he pulled it off pretty well, where he checked out a turn, ho hummed it off, and we in this case bet into him. We bet $35 when we saw that. I think that might have been what happened. Is we took a shot at the flop. It didn't work. He called, and we had a $150 turn, and he did it again. And when that happened, we thought, okay, what range is going to call on 10, 8, 5, 2 clubs? Well, clubs are probably calling. We've only got 180 back. $150 pot. It's not much bigger than a pot-sized bet. I don't know that flush draws are folding, especially not the ace-high flush. Straight draws 6, 7. I don't know if they're folding. I don't know if ace 10. I don't want that really to call, but I don't know. Maybe I can get that to fold. I can get nines. I can get sixes and sevens and things like that to fold. So I've got. It's not the worst kind of like bluff in the world, and we've got 6 outs to get there if they're clean. So we ripped it all in. He's showing weakness. He snap calls, and maybe it was an angle shot the whole way because he had ace king of clubs and he was free rolling us. He didn't know he was free rolling us. Of course, queen of clubs falls on the river, and we're toast. We dusted off a stack. Maybe we fell for an angle. Maybe we didn't. He wasn't really going anywhere with ace king of clubs anyway. If he didn't fold to that flop bet, he wasn't folding to anything. But that's kind of one of those high variance spots that we don't typically get into, that when we did, we were like, damn. And it rolls into the next hand where if you can suffer through these types of variance hands and continue to make decent decisions most of the time, you're pretty good to go. And we've done that through the last 50 hours where we've continually made decent decisions, and that's helped us out. We have an okay reg in the second hand. We'll put it up here as well. And it folds around to hero in a later position. Hijack, low jack, somewhere in there. Ace king again, but this time ace king of hearts. So we isolate over a limper to 12, which is our standard play. We don't care if this goes multi-way. We don't care if it goes heads up. The big blind bumps it to 40, and the big blind, like I said, is an okay regular. All right, we can deal with that. Folds around to us. Now it's us and the big blind. And what I will do is with ace king, I'll thump you. Bam, jam, all in. And the reason why is I want the fold equity with ace king. Yeah, I know aces and kings are calling. I don't want to min click you back and draw at it with ace king. Ace king benefits from 5-card runouts. Ace king benefits from fold equity when you get queens, jacks, tens like that to fold that could 3-bet. Is it going to get called by ace queen? Not in that scenario. Is it going to get called by aces and kings? Yes. But it benefits from one other factor not many people realize. It benefits from the times you have aces and kings and play them the same way. If you remember, we did a whiteboard breakdown where showed you that there are 6 combinations of any pocket pair. So 6 combos of aces, 6 combos of kings. That's 12 combinations of aces and kings. There are 16 combos of ace king, 4 suited, 12 offsuit. Pretty balanced. If 12 times I do, with 12 combinations of hands, I've got the goods. And then with, 16 combinations of hands, I'm bluffing you, but I have pretty good equity in coin flips if you call me with, queens, jacks, whatever. And I've even got kind of okay equity if you call me with kings. I can flop that ace. So when that happens, and this is solver approved, mind you, it's the only solver approved move in my book, if you want to call it that. Everything else I do is exploitative, and this actually is exploitative too. But the solvers will tell you that 4-bet jam with ace king is always recommended, whether you've got 150 left or 850 left, and it's a massive overbet. Jam. You're maxing that fold equity. You're bumping off all those 3-bet hands. Now you have to adjust to the stakes, to the player pool. is that the player that can fold? Is that because some of these guys are only three betting with aces and kings, and you don't do that with ace king in that spot because you're dead. You have to know your villain. But in this case, this guy can do it with less than aces and kings, so we decided to try and bump him off. It worked. He folded jacks face up, which brings us to part two of this little hand history. I showed him the ace king. I'm not showing you when I've got aces and kings. I will show you when I have ace king because I want you knowing that I do it with ace king. I want you seeing that I do it with ace king. That's part two of getting your aces and your kings paid. Because when I don't show you when I have aces and kings, then you're, well, he can do it with ace king. I know he can do it with ace king. I've seen him do it with ace king. They'll keep calling. If they don't see you do it with aces or kings until the showdown hits, then they don't know when you're doing it with aces. It's a little bit of a nuance that allows you to get one over on your player pool. And I'll do it against, I've never met you before, and I feel like you can fold. I'll do it against you, and then I'll show, but I'm not showing you because I'm probably not playing with you again if I've never seen you before. I'm showing it to the table because the table has three regulars sitting at it, and they need to see it, right? All that metagame goes into this poker game, and that's why it's so much fun, and that's why if I make better decisions than you, I win. If you make better decisions than me, you win. That's a pretty damn good decision, to be honest with you, and a pretty neat little thing to throw into your game. Anyway, we may talk about it, break it down a little bit more someday when we have more examples to show you. But third hand of the day was pretty good. We were in mid position. We raised to 10. We'll put it up again here. Hero is in the hijack mid position, raised to 10. It's not us. Hero is in the hijack. I'm looking at my cue card off to the side here. Hero calls with pocket eights. The button and the big blind both call. We're in a four-way $40 flop. Queen of diamonds, four of diamonds, eight of clubs. Not bad. Middle set. We love it. We unblock the queens. Diamonds are out there. We can play this one fast and we can size for stacks, and we're already 300, 350 or more effective at this point, so we can really get in a decent stack. There's a lot of money on the table. I'll recap that when I think about it. I'll recap that at the end here just to tell you how good the potential was for this 1-2 no limit game. But we have, it checks to us mid position, the original raiser. It doesn't check to us, sorry. Mid position bets 20. He's a pretty straightforward guy. But now with two people to act after me and middle set with the draws out there, I'm not letting them all in the pot. There are times you do want to let them in the pot. I may give you a bonus hand here in a minute. There are times you don't. This is not a time I'm trying to really block anyone out. This is just a time I'm trying to build a bigger pot. We bet for two reasons. We bet one, when we have winning chances and we're building a pot. We bet two, to deny equity to those entering the pot as well. So protection, if you call it that. And this is a combination of the two. We're charging more for the draws. We're getting more money in while we've got a lockdown on this board, most likely. We're getting called by a lot of queens. We're getting called by a lot of flush draws. We might even get called by some kind of a pair and a flush draw or something like that. Anyway, we raised to 50. We could go bigger. We don't want to go too big. We'll just shut the other guys out behind us. Gets around to the big blind, who just randomly rips it all in. This is the same guy who just folded jacks to us. Maybe he was in his head. Maybe he was thinking, well, he's over bluffing. He's overdoing it again. I don't know. But he got the bad news when he found out we had a set of eights. We called naturally. We ran out clean. We scooped in another huge pot, $450 or more, and we're off to the races today. And he mumbles to himself, man, I thought for sure you had diamonds. Guys, this is why you play your draws aggressively. Ace King's a drawing hand pre-flop. Play it aggressively. When you flop Ace Jack on Queen 4 8 2 diamonds and you have Ace Jack of diamonds, play it aggressively. Why? As long as you play your aces and your kings in the Ace King example, and as long as you play your pocket eights in this example the same way, it keeps everybody guessing. They don't know. It's either a big draw or it's the nuts, and both suck for me. And so they have to guess, and they have to try and figure out which one you're on. And you get folds when you've got the draw, and you get calls when you've got the sets. And granted, the opposite happens. You get calls when you've got the draw, and you get folds when you've got the set too. But this is the variance of the game. And as long as my opponents are guessing and making poor decisions against me, then I'm profiting and I'm winning long term. That was an interesting hand. The last one I'll leave you with is probably the biggest hand of the day. And this one, you can't be afraid to get the chips in light either. Even when you're going bad, did I expect this board to run out awful? Absolutely, I did. The way I've been running lately, I expected it to just turn to mush, but it didn't. And that's where that guy came from, was from this pot. Under the gun calls. Under the gun has been relatively active and he's been raising a lot. So when he limps, we know he doesn't have a premium. So we take Jack 10 of clubs and we isolate him to 12. Let's just try and get him to ourself. If it goes that way, great. If it doesn't, Jack 10 of clubs flops pretty well multi-way. Anyway, we can adjust. That's another thing. Always have a plan for your hand and react to what happens behind you and then adjust your plan. Okay. In this case, um, we picked up the small blind and under the gun made the call to 12. So we're in a $36 flop. It's pretty straightforward at this point. Luckily, we're like under the gun +1, and we've got complete position on this hand. That's what isolating does for you. It buys you position. We're sitting there on a $36 flop. Queen of hearts, 9 of hearts, queen of diamonds. Not great, but when it checks to us, it didn't get to us actually. When it checks to the under the gun player, small blind checks, and small blind has been a very straightforward player. A little, not so much on the passive side. So this hand will be weird for him. He's very passive in this hand. But under the gun, the more a little bit potentially active player, limp called our raise, comes in for 30. Now we have the initiative, and he donks into us essentially for 30. That's weird. Whereas I would have c-bet that flop. He didn't give us a chance. He's telling us he's got a queen. I don't think he's doing this with queen 9. I think he would want hearts to get there. I don't think he's doing this with pocket 9s. I think he would want hearts to get there, or he'd plan a big check raise or something. This lead out tells me he's not nutted. Now, he probably has a queen to do it. Maybe he's getting a little frisky with, I don't know, pocket 10s or something. Who knows? But I think he's probably heavy, heavy, heavy on queen X. So we make the call. It's a pretty decent pot-sized bet. We make the call because if you do the math with the implied odds, you've got the odds to draw to more straights than you think you do. These are other things we'll break down as your poker caddy going forward. Small blind also calls. So call, call, call. Now we're $90 on the flop. We're in a $125 pot going into the turn, and we haven't shed a player yet. This is a little bit interesting. Bink, the 8 of diamonds hits. Now we're double flush, 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, but we hit our straight. Now it's time to get aggressive. We don't think that the full house is out there. We don't really want, this is again, we're betting to get more money in the pot when we have strong winning chances, but we're also betting to deny equity when you're drawing to the equity that you have in the pot that you haven't realized yet. And the under the gun player bets out for 50 into the 125. We raise it. We don't just raise it to 100, 125, 150. We go to 175. We wanted to really commit to this pot. We wanted to get called. We didn't want to blow everybody out of it, but we didn't want to get called by only the hands that beat us. You know what I mean? So 175 was a big enough message. We could still get called. It's already a pretty big pot. And to our surprise, both players call. In fact, small blind calls and under the gun goes all in, and we're going, what did we miss? Did we miss queen? Did we miss queen 9? Queen 8? Did we miss pocket 9s? Did he just gin pocket 8s? No, he probably wouldn't have bet the flop with pocket 8s, but I mean, we got to be expecting to be beat here some. But again, we still have a very, very strong hand. Can they do this with a draw? I don't know. I think that they're both on a queen. And I think that they're both really in some bad shape here a lot of the time. So, of course, I call, and then small blind calls. Oh my gosh. We're in a 3-way all in on the turn. We need the board to run out clean. The river's 3 of diamonds. We're good. They both had ace queen. And we scoop in, a monster pot. These are the things that turn bad sessions around. These are, when you're going bad, this doesn't work for you. The heart falls and you get flushed, or they had pocket 9s. But when you're starting to run good again, these things hold up for you and they work out for you. So hopefully that's the run that we're getting on. If you like these hand breakdowns, if you like these hand histories, please like and subscribe to the video. If you think I played these hands like shit, or you don't like the strategies that I laid out, please comment. Tell me. I can take it. I'm a good boy. I'm a big boy. But I will say this. Come inside and talk to us out on Twitter, in our Discord, in our comments here, and we will see you when we see you here with your poker caddy. See ya. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Poker Caddy, brought to you by DFS Army and the Sharp app. Go check out my boys. Check out their Twitter accounts. Check out their YouTube channels. They're all linked down in the description below. If you like DFS, daily fantasy sports, FanDuel, DraftKings, etc., and you like sports betting, overs, unders, parlays, all that good stuff, my boys got you covered. So, hope to see you there.